What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing? We are back for another Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference. We're back for another match preview. It's just, it comes so thick and fast, doesn't it? It comes so thick and fast. It's constant. It's constant being a Manchester United fan. It's constant. How is everybody doing today? Let me know once again where you're watching from. Smash a like as you come in through the doors of United View here. Take some pressure off. Relax. We're all here, friends. It's Friday. Enjoy yourself. It's the 1st of October. It's the last game also before the international break. So I guess you're going to have to, we've got to enjoy a bit of Man United football because it's going to go away for like a week or so. I don't know about you guys. I mean, look, obviously, England fan, obviously. But once it gets to this point of the season where you just get football back, and then, or the Premier League back, domestic football back, and then suddenly has to go again for another international break. It's like, every time, isn't it? It always feels like it is what it is. But I think, is this the last international break, or is there another one after this? Because you get to the point as you get into like the winter and you get into the autumn, whereby there's one where it's just there's none until the spring, and you just get full domestic football. That's what you want. But it is what it is. But as always, guys, let me know where you're watching from. Be sure to smash a like on the video as always. Got David Lee in here. Big up the moderators as always. David Lee says, hi, Owen bro. Hi, David. How are you doing? Josh Wearing says, Pers asking the tough questions about Donny, watching from New Jersey. I tell you what, you're bang on, Josh. You're absolutely bang on. We're going to talk about that question when it comes to Donny van de Beek, because the tough questions were asked. There was another tough question asked about, despite being sort of happy with the victory, was it not a good, did it mask sort of a bad performance overall and all that kind of stuff too? So there was lots, there really was a lot to get into in this press conference, asking some tough questions for once, which is good. Because it's like sometimes, I've mentioned it before, you know me, I do the press conferences all the time here for United View, and sometimes you come out of them being like, they just asked nothing. They just asked nothing of, because you do get them as well. I noticed there was one in the press conference earlier where it was like, it was one of the last questions, and it's kind of like, obviously they go in and they've got this big list of things they want to ask, and then obviously as you go on and on, things just get ticked off, and they're like, I've got no questions left, screw it. Ronaldo, isn't he great? And then Solskjaer goes, of course he's great. Cristiano Ronaldo's great. He's got a great impact on the club, great impact on the players. And it's constant like that. But there were some really, really good questions being asked today, and some interesting ones. So we're going to get into the press conference. We're going to get into the questions. We're going to get into Ollie's answers, of course. Then we're going to get into a match preview, because, of course, we've got Everton tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff once again. Early kickoff, again, for Manchester United at home. So... and Ollie had some interesting things to say about that as well. So, as always, smash a like on the video. Let's get into it, because there are some interesting questions that were asked today. There were interesting questions that were asked of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He answered with some interesting quotes, as always. So, the first question was from Simon Stone, and he asked about building on the ending to the game on Wednesday. And again, I thought this was a good question, because he said, look, did it mask an overall disappointing performance by Manchester United? This is what Solskjaer said. He said, quote, we've done that so many times at this club. We played against a very good team, dominated possession, but were open on the counterattack. The boost, the energy has to be built on. It is a very quick turnaround. The players are not going to get caught out, which I thought was interesting. That last bit there, where Ollie goes, look, the players aren't going to get caught out. Yes, it's a quick turnaround. The players aren't going to get caught out. You can't then go out tomorrow. If we lose tomorrow, you can't just go, it's a disgrace. We're playing too many games too quickly, or the turnaround's too quick. We got caught out, because you said that's not going to happen. So it's interesting when you say stuff like that, because you do make a rod for your own back. And it's interesting that he started off the press conference talking about, look, it's a quick turnaround, but the players aren't going to get caught out. And then he ends the press conference by saying, it's a disgrace. There's no common sense. So I don't know why we're playing on Saturday when we played on Wednesday. I don't disagree with him, by the way. I think it's ridiculous. But it is interesting that he goes, look, they're not going to get called out. They're not going to get called out whatsoever. So we'll have to wait and see by that. Look, the bit there where he says as well, and I'd be interested to know you guys' opinions on this too, where he goes, we dominated possession. And I don't know, I don't have the possession statistics in front of me right now. You can let me know in the free seats. What was the possession statistics for the game on Wednesday? But that's kind of the fallacy of football, isn't it? And it's kind of what we've been talking about when it comes to shots recently with Manchester United. Like, Yeah, we had loads of shots. We had loads of shots against Aston Villa. We didn't look like scoring. I mean, obviously we had the penalty and all that, but we didn't look like scoring, let's face it. And it's kind of a case of we had loads of possession on Wednesday. Okay, we did have lots of possession on Wednesday, but on the flip side of things, they could have been 5-0 up. Possession doesn't mean nothing. It means nothing. It's what you do with the ball. And we weren't doing anything with the ball in the first half. They dominated us in the first half. Oh, we had great possession. It doesn't change the fact that David De Gea, our goalkeeper, bailed us out in that game. So he didn't really mention that it was a disappointing performance because I don't think he's going to do that. He's a Manchester United manager. He wants to keep things positive, obviously. But he kind of half-answered the question there, whereby obviously we are going to build onto the ending of the game on Wednesday because it was your euphoric moment, the atmosphere on the ground, outside of the ground. All of the United fans came away from that game feeling great. And then I think once that started to settle down a little bit and you start to reflect on the game and do a bit of analysis on it and look at the game overall and look at the highlights of the game, you realise, well, again, he can talk about dominating possession, but I wouldn't say that's a game that Manchester United dominated by any stretch of the imagination. So, again, he didn't answer the second half of it, but he's not going to. He's not going to go, oh, we were crap. Oh, we were rubbish. But, you know, he did mention he was lucky after the game, or we were lucky after the game. I think it's a fair point to point out that, look, Manchester United do have a history of doing that. I've seen lots of people say that in the comments, because obviously here at United View, read the comments all the time. It's a community. Everyone's got their opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their opinion. That's what's great about this channel. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, under Sir Alex Ferguson, that, you know, it was Fergie time, right? Last minute goals, that's what's made Sir Alex famous. That's what made Manchester United famous. Under Sir Alex Ferguson was those last minute goals and looking like you weren't going to win a game or you were going to draw a game. Then you get out of it right at the end with a last minute winner and the crowd goes crazy and there's energy and it's momentum. That is very, very true. But we were winning things under Sir Alex, and in those games, Manchester United tended to dominate, but you would have those games where defensively the other team would be really resilient and the goalkeeper would have a great game and all that kind of stuff, and that wasn't the case on Wednesday. To me, they're two different games. That wasn't a game we dominated. It wasn't. We got more into it in the second half as the game went on. I think partially that's because we grew into the game, but I think also that's because Villarreal were like, oh my God, we might get something from this game, whether it's 3 points or a point. As soon as they scored, they backed off. It allowed us into the game. But again, I understand what people are saying. That's because I've seen this as well. I've seen lots of people say, you were never around during Fergie's era. Of course I was. Of course I was. I remember all of those late goals, right? I've been at the ground for some of those late goals. It's incredible. But they're different games. That was a different game on Wednesday. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So is what it is. Abhick says we had 56% possession. Is that accurate? Is that accurate? I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate. If that is the case, it's hardly domination, is it? So it is what it is. So building on that, again, I try and get the names of the journalists down. You know me, something I've been trying to improve on. But today, whoever was like the press officer for that press conference, every time they mentioned the journalist, it was like, I was like, who on earth is this? I felt bad for them. That's their moment to shine. And they just get, and then suddenly it's, hi, Ollie. And it's like, I have no idea who's speaking right now, but whatever. So the next question was about being too open on the counter-attack at times, which is something that Ollie referenced in the answer to his previous question. So he was asked, how problematic is that for Manchester United? And Ollie said, quote, that is the challenge we're facing more and more. We have to get better at that. We want to be in the position that teams pay us such respect. There are so many things that you've got to do right. The ball moves so rapidly up the pitch and sometimes it's like a handball game. The Aston Villa game, he mentioned this again. This is the second press conference in a row that he's referenced this. The Aston Villa game had 45 minutes effective playing time, which is the lowest I've seen of us. Now, effective playing time, again, I'm not massively familiar on that, so I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Effective play? I mean, legitimately, I don't know what that means. So if you can let me know in the live chat or wherever about what effective playing time means, because does that mean just in terms of you actually having the ball at your feet, or does that mean ball actually being in play? I don't know, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think we were really open on the counter-attack on Wednesday against Villarreal because, once again, we just don't know how to play against a low block. We don't. And again, that comes down to technical quality. And that is something that I think, in fairness, something that Ollie, as a manager, will try and set up against. But ultimately, you know, if your players aren't passing the ball 5-10 yards to the right player, or they're constantly giving the ball away, then there's not much you can do that. Of course, you're going to be open to counterattacks when your players can't pass the ball. That's going to be a problem. Or from a tactical point of view, that would be a case of course, you're going to be open to counterattack if you're constantly trying to find this sort of, through ball. We did that so many times against Villarreal, didn't we? Ball over the top. Let's try and find ball over the top. Let's try and find kill a through pass. All this will do that. And then it opens you up because you do a sloppy pass and then suddenly bang. Also, I suppose it comes back to transitions between plays. You have to have a tactic of, as soon as we lose the ball, right, we have to win the ball back quicker. Or there has to be someone that's going, bam, we're going to have to win the ball back quicker. And that wasn't there. We were so open at times on Wednesday night. And that is a problem for Manchester United because, again, players will watch, or managers rather, and players will watch that game against Villarreal on Wednesday and they'll say, look, we'll just sit back, especially at Old Trafford, we'll just sit back. Man United will try this unbelievable 20-yard through ball, or they'll try a ball over the top. We'll cut it out. As soon as we cut it out, move the ball quickly, 2-3 passes, we can be in their box one-on-one. Because it was that quick against Villarreal on Wednesday. And we should know, as Manchester United players, fans, management, they should know at this point, okay, that's what they're going to do. That's what Everton are going to do at the weekend, right? Tomorrow, that's what Everton are going to do. They'll sit back. They'll wait for United to make a mistake. They'll get the ball, counter-attacks on. That's what they'll try and do tomorrow. We need to be more aware of that. And that comes back to winning the ball back. Whether that is McFred, that energy and desire, that passion of winning the ball back, that's their job, to win that ball back. And I guess there was only one of them playing. It was McTominay. Maybe he wasn't doing it good enough on Wednesday either. But it is something that we need to be more effective in. It'll be interesting to see if Ollie brings that up once again. The effective playing time. I mean, I'm gonna do my research after this. Let's find out what the effective playing time is. David Lee says, like, share, and subscribe, guys. Of course, we're at 67 likes, so let's get to 100 likes. That's 33. See, I always try to like doing that because I always like to test out my maths. See if I can still do it. Got what did I get at A? I didn't do maths at A level. I did it to GCSE. I got like a C. I think. No, I got an A. I can't remember. This was a while ago. My maths is not great. I was never a maths guy at all. So the next question was from Gary Cottrell and was asked about Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, there had been this report or story, shall we say, coming out this morning. I don't know who it was from, actually. It might have been from ESPN. I'm not sure. That's not confirmed. But there was a story coming out this morning talking about reportedly Cristiano Ronaldo had spoke to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the Manchester United coaching staff and basically said, you need to move the ball faster to me to get the best out of me, right? We need to be playing quicker. You need to move the ball quicker to me and then I can score goals. So Gary Cottrell asked about this, and in fairness, Ole's reaction was very humorous to the point that it's going to become a meme. I've already seen the images on social media already, but that's going to become a meme. When Manchester United are losing, or Manchester United aren't playing well, or if Ole makes a strange substitution or a bizarre tactical decision, that look of Solskjaer giving it like looking down like that, or his hand, head in his hands and all that kind of stuff, that's going to be memed. That's going to be memed over and over and over and over again. I thought, here we go. But he was reacting to the story. Basically saying that it wasn't true and it wasn't a factual story and all this kind of stuff. This is what Ole said. Quote, wow, what can you answer to that? What we speak about, that's between us. We've not had that discussion, to put it that way. So Ole's saying, nope, didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. Ronaldo and I have not spoken about that, or Ronaldo hasn't come to me saying, boss, we need to move it quicker to get the ball to me or anything like that. He's saying it's not happening, all that kind of stuff. On that note, look, Ronaldo on Wednesday, he didn't play particularly well. He looked very, very isolated. For 90 minutes, he looked very, very isolated. And he still scored goals. And we know Ronaldo's going to score goals. He might score at the weekend. He's got, 5 and 5 at this moment in time? Now, I suppose you could be like really, conspiracy theory led and driven and be like, well, maybe the conversation hasn't happened between Cristiano Ronaldo and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but maybe it's happened between Ronaldo and a member of the coaching staff, maybe Michael Carrick or Mike Phelan or Kieran McKenna, or maybe it's just happened between the players. Maybe it's a case of Ronaldo going to Bruno, you need to move the ball quicker to me, then I can score goals or anything like that. I don't know. If Ole's saying it hasn't happened, I was just about to say, believe the manager and all that kind of stuff. But let's be honest here. Ollie lies. That's what KG says. Ollie lies. Ollie lies all the time. He said that McFred were instrumental, then he didn't start on Wednesday night. So who knows if that conversation happened or not? Who knows if that conversation happened or not? I think that there absolutely does need to be improvements in the build-up play. Certainly. Evidence is there on Wednesday. Villarreal had all those chances in the first half. One, because they were picking us off on the counter-attack, but also on top of that, what we were doing with the ball wasn't good enough. Again, we were trying this, let's try and find the killer pass, or let's try and find this perfect through ball, let's try these long balls or anything like that. And it was slow. I mean, again, like Ollie said it in the press conference on Tuesday when he was like, if anything, we were playing too quick. We definitely weren't playing too quick on Wednesday. So I don't know. I don't really know how to look into that story. Again, it's just, sometimes these press conferences, these answers are just very odd. Very odd. But look, like KG always says, Ollie's a liar. Ollie's a liar. That's what he says. Ollie's a liar. So the next question, and I think this is the one that's going to be getting the most sort of talk on social media, the most buzz, was the question about Donny van de Beek, and this came from Per Carlson, who of course I always shout out here on the channel because he did the interview with Flex. I'm sure he'll do another one in the future, certainly. But this was the one that got a lot of people talking, because it's got a lot of people talking anyway. So we spoke about it here a couple of times here on the channel over the course of the last few days, and more clips have been kind of released of this. So on Wednesday night, when the substitution was being made that Fred was coming on the pitch, when they have that camera where you've got the manager next to the player on the touchline, all that kind of stuff, you could see behind Ollie and Fred in the dugout, as it were. Donny van de Beek didn't look happy. He's there. The other players are surrounding him going, don't worry, calm down. Don't worry, calm down, Donny. He throws his gum on the floor. And everyone went, well, Donny was obviously frustrated. He obviously wasn't happy. Another clip came out that was on social media. I don't know if you've seen it, and it's from another angle. Someone in the crowd that's obviously sitting right next to the dugout, and it's much more extended. This one's like 45 seconds long. You see basically Donny come back. He takes his bib off, throws it on the floor, sits down. You can see him kind of muttering under his breath. The players, once again, leaning over, saying, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. He throws the gun once again. So that was the situation. So Per asked about this. He said to Ollie, Donny van de Beek didn't look happy throwing the gum on the floor when Fred came on. He said, can you understand his frustration? Where does he stand in terms of playing time for Manchester United? What's the situation? And these quotes were interesting from Ollie, to say the least. He said, Donny was ready to come on. I've been a sub more than anyone in this club, probably. I must have a record appearance as a sub, and you have to be ready all the time. I've been happy a few times. Alex was coming off as a left back, and Fred did that job well. I understand the frustration. Every player is keen to play. That's got to be built into energy and determination for when you get on. And show me. It's not just Donny, it's players. I've got a squad of internationals, and if we're going to be successful, we need positive energy, no sulkers. Donny has never affected his teammates negatively. As soon as I see players affecting the team negatively, then that's a different scenario, and I'll probably be firmer. So that's an interesting one. What did you think? What did you make of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's comments about Donny van de Beek there? So basically, he's saying he was ready to come on, and basically said, hey, this is the interesting thing there. So he said, look, he was ready to come on, and Ollie does like to throw in that card about him being a super sub, because that's what he was. He's a United legend for winning the Champions League in the last minute for Manchester United. But majority of the time, he wasn't a star. He was a super sub. He was a guy that Fergie would bring on. And it would be a case of hopefully Ollie can get us a goal. Or if we're chasing a game, he would bring him on in addition to the other strikers and be like, okay, well, let's bring him on and see if Ollie can get us a goal. So he obviously understands the nature of being a sub. But you could argue that maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was happy to be a sub at Manchester United. When he was a player, he was look, I understand my role in the side. I understand my role in the squad. I'm going to be a sub for the majority of the games. If you bring me on, I'll score a goal. Maybe I'll start some games, but I'll be playing more games as a sub. He was happy with that role. He was happy with that position. Donny van de Beek isn't. That's the difference there. So Ollie can say, well, I spent loads of time on the bench, and sometimes I wasn't happy about it, but I always did my best when I came on. That's fine. That's a valid point. But Donny van de Beek doesn't want to be a sub. And not to say that Solskjaer wanted to be a sub, but he was happy in that role. He knew his role. I don't think Donny does know his role, but he's certainly not happy with it at this point. And I think that's the frustration with him. Now, again, the people, to play devil's advocate here, on the other side of it will say, well, Fred came on and he put the cross in and that's what led to the goal. So Ollie got it right. And you can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. In terms of that decision on that night, Ollie got it right. The issue is we don't know what conversations have been held behind the scenes, do we? We don't know if a conversation was had between Ollie and Donny of like, look, if we'll make a sub tonight, you'll get on. Or I've got you earmarked for this. You're not going to play at the weekend, but that's because you're going to play Champions League games this season. Maybe you're not going to start all of these league games, but you start against young boys, and I'm telling you now, you're going to be playing European games. And maybe that was his frustration, because that was the final substitute, and he took his bib off and was like, oh, he lied. Ollie lies. Right? Ollie lies again. So maybe that was the frustration there. And look, it goes both ways. Obviously, in almost a perverse way, you're happy to see that it means something. The worst thing is professional footballers, isn't it? Where you have those situations where they don't want to come off the bench. They're like, right, you're on. No, I'm not going to play. I don't want to play tonight. Or they're just happy to be there on the bench. I'm fine. I'm collecting my check. No, Donny wants to play. Donny's got a career ahead of him, and he's not playing for his international side. That's what's interesting there as well. And Ollie's saying, look, I've got a squad of international players. Not in Donny van de Beek right now, you don't. Because he's not made the Dutch squad again. And Louis van Gaal has made it very, very, very clear to Donny van de Beek, look, if you're not playing for Man United, you're not playing for Holland. That's it. It's as simple as that. And Donny knows that. And Donny knows that there's a World Cup coming up next year. And he's like, wait a minute, at this stage, I'm not playing. I'm not playing for United. I'm not playing for my country. And I'm not going to play in the World Cup either. That's a problem. That's a problem for him. And again, we don't know what conversations have been held behind the scenes. But for me personally, if I'm stepping into Donny's shoes, and it's a case of, I was told that, well, you might not be playing a load of games in the Premier League, but you're going to be playing games in Europe, and then you're not. That would be a frustration for me. That would be a frustration to me. Now, again, Ollie's said there that it's about being ready, and when you come on, show me something. Is that kind of little jab to say, look, when I've brought you on in the past, or when I've played you in the past, you haven't shown me anything, or you've yet to show me anything that makes me think, right, Donny has to start. And I've seen that from other people as well. I have seen that from other people on social media. I have friends who are Manchester United fans who have said to me a couple of times of, well, when Donny has played, I haven't really seen anything that tells me he has to start. Again, the counter argument to that is, well, that's just, he just hasn't had enough games. You can't say at the same time, Jadon Sancho, he's got to play more games and he's got to adjust. We've got to give him time to adjust, or it's going to take game time to get him going. Donny van de Beek barely had any game time. He's never had a string of 5 games in a row, 3 games in a row, whatever it may be for Manchester United. So you can't even really judge. And I think that would be the frustrating thing as well. He would almost be like, well, I'm trying to show you, but I've got to actually play a couple of run of games to actually show you what I'm worth to the team. Obviously, we don't see in training either. So maybe in training, Ollie's not happy in training. There's lots of different ways to look at this. And look, Ollie's very much saying there too, Donny van de Beek's never negatively affected the squad. He's not a bad influence. He's not moaning all the time that he's not playing. But I would say to that, everyone has their limits. And maybe if it was another player with a different kind of attitude and a different agent, this whole frustration that obviously boiled over, at least briefly for him on Wednesday, for another player that would have come far, far sooner. Donny van de Beek, it's taken time. Maybe he's a nice guy. Maybe that's his problem. But eventually, everyone has their limits. And I think that's getting to the point now whereby that conversation has to be held. That conversation has to be held whereby it's a case of, look, Ollie, am I in your plans or am I not good enough? Because if you don't think I'm good enough, then I shouldn't be here. Don't tell me I am good enough and then I'm not going to play. That's the problem. That's the problem there. And I think that is a conversation that will happen in January. There was rumours and reports, weren't there, right on deadline day in August that Everton, ironically our opponents this weekend, were interested and wanted Donny van de Beek on loan. Reportedly, Manchester United went, no, he's got a part to play. Well, if I'm Donny van de Beek and I'm his agent, I'm going, okay, you said he's got a part to play, but I'm yet to see it. I'm yet to see that. Actions speak louder than words, and he's not playing. And when you have an opportunity to sub him on, you don't. And eventually someone will grow frustrated with that. And it comes a case of either Ollie or the club or whoever have to make a decision. And I think that line in the sand is being closer and closer to being drawn. So yeah, it was interesting. There are interesting statements. Again, Ollie basically saying that as part of the problems of being a manager is that you have to pick from so many great players, but we need positive energy and no sulkers. Was that Donny van de Beek sulking on Wednesday? I think it was just frustration. And again, because I think everyone has their limits. And I'm not saying Ollie's right or wrong, but eventually a decision has to be made. That's the situation. That's the situation. A decision has to be made eventually. And I think we're getting closer and closer to that decision being made. We know that Ollie prefers McTominay and Fred. We know. I mean, he said it himself in the last press conference. And I suppose it gets to a point where, from Donny's point of view, he just goes, look, how long do I want to stay here and be trying to win this guy over? Because I can't. And if you don't, like, from my point of view, if this was me, I'd be like, look, if you don't rate me, then that's fine. But I shouldn't be here. I should be somewhere else. I've got a career to be doing. I've got a career to be getting on with. Not sitting here on the bench all the time where my international career's floundering because I'm not getting picked anymore and a World Cup's coming up. And how many opportunities am I going to get to play in a World Cup? And once things start to get affected and frustration starts to build, eventually it all builds to the same position. And it does kind of feel inevitable at this point, doesn't it? It certainly does. But look, we'll have to wait and see. But I think at this point, I think I can only see it ending one way with Donny van der Beek. I really do. It's just, that's the situation. Fat Thor says, Donny, why I feel bad for Donny is this. He was bought and sold big dreams. He doesn't even get a decent run of games. That's unfair. I'm still leading with the theory that, Ollie, not that he didn't want Donny, but it wasn't a target of his. I feel like it was a situation last year where Donny was linked with Real Madrid for ages, wasn't it? And he was going to go to Real Madrid. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. And then I think United saw a player that was linked to Real Madrid for a decent price, and they thought, we'll take him. And I think they probably went to Ollie, Donny van der Beek. He was going to go to Madrid. I think, how much was it? 40 million, something like that. Do you want him? Why not? Bring him in. And I really don't think a lot really went into it that much. And Ollie decided a while ago that he doesn't fancy him. That's it. I really think that's the situation. But who knows? Maybe he will win him over, or I don't really like to go down this school of thought, but maybe it's a case from Donny's point of view where he thinks, well, you never know, someone else could come into the club and then maybe I will get a run of games. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? But you do feel like there's a feeling of inevitability when it comes to Donny van der Beek and his Manchester United career. So the next question was asked about some team news, just general team news updates, injury problems, etc. So some interesting news here from Solskjaer. He said, Luke feels better in himself. He's been ill, but he's still got the shoulder injury. We've got to make a decision on him, so not completely ruling him out of tomorrow, but I think it's unlikely that he'll play. Update on Marcus Rashford as well. He said, quote, Marcus trained fully for the first time today with contact. There were a few tackles flying in on him, and he seemed okay, which was nice to see. Marcus is fit. He's worked really hard, but he's not had any contact until now, obviously. If his shoulder can take the contact now, he should be ready after the international. So it's looking like Marcus Rashford is going to be back for the next set of fixtures after the international break, which is very, very fantastic news. It's great news for Manchester United. Rashford coming back is such a cliche, isn't it? Such a cliche, but Rashford coming back will be like a new signing, and it will certainly open up Pandora's box when it comes to that left-hand side for Manchester United, because who plays there? Is it Rashford? I mean, Pogba has to come back into being a midfielder. He did on Wednesday night, but then you've obviously got people like Lingard, you've got Martial, you've got Sancho. Is he going to be on the right? Is he going to be on the left? There's lots of discussions there, but it is going to be like a new signing for us. So that's great news about Rashford, certainly. When it comes to Luke Shaw, it looks unlikely for tomorrow. He also said about Harry Maguire, Harry and Ahmad still out. We didn't lose anyone on Wednesday, so Harry Maguire isn't going to be starting tomorrow, and Ahmad is still injured too. So Shaw is a doubt. I think it's unlikely that he plays tomorrow. We'll get into that when we get into the match preview in a second. Next question was asked, as I mentioned, about Ronaldo. How much is his impact off the pitch, on the staff, on the players, etc.? You get one. You get one per press conference, a Ronaldo one. Like I said, I genuinely think that some of these journalists have all of these questions. Then they see like someone else say all of their questions and they think, crap, I've got to say something. Previously it would be Paul Pogba, how do you get the best out of him? Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo. How great is Cristiano Ronaldo? Because they know, look, if we just put Ronaldo in the title in our article, if we've got nothing else to say, then it'll still get some clicks, right? So they just go, oh, Ronaldo, boom. How great is Ronaldo? So this is what he said. He has had a great impact on and off the pitch. 5 goals in 5 games at his age says everything. You've got to manage him. He's a very good example for everyone. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? I heard that question. I'm like, oh, come on. You've got an opportunity. You can ask something quite probing, and we've seen that. I've just spent like 15 minutes talking on a question about Donny van der Beek because it was a good question. It's what people want to hear about. It's what people want to talk about. Ask some real good questions. Next one was about David De Gea. And the question was about De Gea being arguably back to his best. He's in fantastic form this season. The question was, what impact does that have with Dean Henderson, of course? Will Henderson get game time? This is what Solskjaer had to say. Both Dean and Dean Henderson, Tom Heaton, are ready to play when called upon. Dean has had problems in the past, but that is in the past now. He played really well against West Ham in the Carabao Cup. David has done really well, which he's handled it really well. I'm very pleased with him. So it's an interesting one when it comes to De Gea and it comes to Henderson. David De Gea is back to his best. You can't argue with that, can you? I mean, he's been phenomenal. I mean, the saves he was making Wednesday night, man of the match for Manchester United, easily. He won the game for Manchester United. I know, obviously, Ronaldo puts the ball in the back of the net, but David De Gea wins that game. Otherwise, it's like 5 or 6-2 that game. David De Gea has just been sensational. And that's not just limited to Wednesday night, of course. He's played well in every game that he's been in, whether it's saving last-minute penalties against West Ham, whether it's making a reaction double save against Wolves. He's been making saves all season so far. And not just comfortable saves, not just saves, that's a good save. We're talking match-winning saves. He has got Manchester United points this season. That's a world-class goalkeeper. When it comes to Dean Henderson, just at the moment, he's out of the pecking order because you can't drop David De Gea. Even for Champions League games, I hate the idea, to be honest, when they go, we've got a European goalkeeper, unless it's a case of like Europa League where you're not too interested on the competition anyway. But for Champions League, your strongest side should be playing. The strongest side at the moment is David De Gea as the goalkeeper. Dean Henderson, we're out of the Carabao Cup, so his game time is even more limited. I think he'll probably play in the FA Cup. That's in January though. And again, talking about conversations about futures, he'll know that, look, I want to play for my country too. And there's a possibility he could, but he needs to be playing regularly. That's not going to happen in January. I don't think he's going to move away in January. But at the end of the season, I think there'll be another discussion about his future, and a decision will have to be made eventually. Because whilst it's great to have, all of these options, eventually, when it comes to stuff like goalkeepers, you just want to be playing. And at the moment, it's a very easy answer. It's David De Gea is the number one. That's it. When it comes to Henderson, I mean, obviously stuff can happen. People can drop off form, or people can get injured. But again, with the Henderson one, you just can't drop De Gea at the moment. It's as simple as that. It really is. It's as simple as that. Next question was on Rob Dawson. Actually got the name. This one. Got the name on this one. So it was asked about, of course, City and Liverpool was at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, despite playing in the Champions League on Tuesday. He said that obviously United are playing Saturday with Everton at lunchtime after playing on Wednesday. He said, have you got any explanation about this? Have you been told a reason as to why? What's the situation? And Solskjaer said, quote, absolutely no explanation. Well, it's TV. It's absolutely no common sense at all. We had the same scenario last year when we played in Turkey and came back and played Everton. That was away. That was the one where we won the match, and afterwards Ollie was fuming. He went out, he had a post-match interview, and he was livid about it, saying that it was ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. He said, quote, us and Chelsea played Wednesday night. We could have easily played Sunday, and the Liverpool-Man City game should have been Saturday. Common sense might not be so common, unfortunately. Again, I saw that last quote where he said, common sense might not be so common, unfortunately. I thought, it's going to get clipped. It's going to get clipped, because if he makes a mistake, you will see the thing of him going, common sense might not be so common, unfortunately. But look, he's right. I thought, and again, I might be wrong here, but I swear that there was something in the media, or I swear there was something about that changing, or that rule changing. I might be wrong. I don't know. Because I remember Klopp was moaning about it as well last year, and it is a bit ridiculous. And I'm not just saying this because it's United. I would be saying the same for any club. Playing Wednesday and then playing 12:30 on a Saturday is ridiculous. And I get it. Some people go, they're professional footballers, they're professional athletes, etc., etc. It's true, but in other countries, they go out of their way to ensure that the clubs that are in the Champions League are treated differently. And I think that's where in England we kind of try and pull back on it. We don't want to be, the Premier League and sort of the FA don't want to be given the impression that they're making exceptions for the clubs that are in Europe, or the big guys, or the guys that are successful. And that's fine, but there should be a sort of an element of reward for qualifying for the Champions League, or playing in the Champions League, or representing England, because that's, they're representing England, they're representing the Premier League when they're in the Champions League, and they're in these European competitions. So why should it be your prerogative to make sure that they struggle either in the Premier League or in the Champions League by unfavourable match schedule? That doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense, and it's been like that for a long time. Fergie used to moan about it all the time. I think every manager of a big club has moaned about that eventually, or complained about it, and because it's right. It is right. Why shouldn't the guys that played on Wednesday night, that being Man United and Chelsea, why shouldn't they play on Sunday? The guys that played in the Europa League or the Europa Conference League, they'll play on Sunday. And I know that people go, what's the difference between a day? It's a lot. It's a lot. And I understand TV. I understand they'll be like, well, it's a Super Sunday, and, Man City, Liverpool's a big game. We want to move it for TV. Well, who cares about TV? Surely, shouldn't it be your prerogative as a league and as a football association should be that your clubs, rather, that play in this country have the best chance for success in Europe? And it's not. It's strange. Very strange. And I don't. But it's been like that for a while. And again, I thought that had changed. I swear that some rule had come in to change that, but obviously I didn't see that. Maybe it was just a proposal or something like that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And it's one of those things that if you like what happened last season, if we win the game, then Ollie will come out and be like, that was BS. They tried to screw us over kind of thing, but we won anyway. But if we lose, it is an excuse that will be used. Don't make no mistake. It will absolutely be an excuse that will be used. So we'll wait and see. But I do think it's something that needs to be changed. But it never is. It always is something every single season. And again, you look at countries like Spain or Germany or wherever, they I don't want to say help their sides, but they're like, look, this side is representing the country and the league in a European competition. It's in our best interest that that club succeeds, because if they win the competition or they do well or they get far in the competition, it helps us because more people watch the league anyway. Sponsors get more involved in the league. We get more prize money. Everything, of course, it benefits us. So why would you actively be trying to we don't care. Everyone's got to play the same. Everyone's got to play even. Sorry. Your fault that you qualified. Your fault that you did well last season and qualified for the Champions League. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. Super chat from V-Time Media Productions says, what if Ollie tactics is not having tactics so other teams can't figure out how we play? Well, look. I know there's been a lot of discussions, hasn't there, about Ollie and patterns of play and not having tactics, etc., all that kind of stuff at the moment. I think people do know how we play. We try and play on the counter-attack, especially in games where we're not being attacked. That's the weird thing, isn't it? So, for instance, when we played Villa last weekend, we played on the counter-attack, but they weren't attacking us. They were playing on the counter-attack against us. It's strange. It's strange. And that's why you see people say there are no patterns of play or there's no style of play or you can't figure out how Manchester United are going to play. You see it all the time. But people will focus on results, and it is a results business at the end of the day. Let's get into the match preview then, because I've been waffling on for ages already. But it's that Donny van de Beek quote. That's what was so interesting. Let's look at the match preview. Look, obviously, Everton in the league, Old Trafford. Saturday lunchtime, kickoff. Obviously, you've got to focus on the league now, and you can't make no mistakes that, look, we lost last weekend, and we dropped points, and we don't want to be dropping points already. Back-to-back defeats, this is the thing, isn't it, that if we'd have lost in the week, people would have been saying, well, back-to-back defeats at Old Trafford isn't acceptable, but we could still be having a situation where in the league, this could be back-to-back defeats. We could have lost to Aston Villa last weekend, and we could lose to Everton here. That isn't acceptable. Back-to-back defeats in the league isn't acceptable. Back-to-back defeats at Old Trafford isn't acceptable either. And we can't be in a position at this point to fall behind in the league, especially when we have had a good start. We've had a good start in terms of fixtures, rather. We've had a good start in terms of the teams that we've been playing. When those fixtures came out at the start of the season, I said it then, I was like, we need to make the most of this, because that run of games that we have from August to October, wherever it may be, is really good, really good. And it is frustrating that we've already dropped points, obviously against Villa and against Southampton. I know other sides have dropped points too, but the difference is that those other sides, our rivals, have been playing each other. Other sides have been playing those big teams. We've yet to play a big side. That's going to come. Now, obviously, you could say that actually our record against the big sides, I almost prefer us playing the big sides because our record's not too bad, even though it's not a lot of wins, but we don't tend to lose against them. Nevertheless, we can't afford to be dropping points again. We can't afford to be having back-to-back defeats at Old Trafford, and we can't afford to be having back-to-back defeats in the league. And the ground won't stand for it anyway. But Everton, well-coached side, Rafa Benitez is good coach, really good coach. I mean, there's evidence is out there. Even as a former Liverpool manager, everywhere he's been, he's had relative success, apart from Real Madrid. But they're going to be a well-coached side, disciplined side. It's going to be the same as Wednesday, I think, really, in that we're going up against a side that's got a very strong, smart coach. He's going to know, certainly he's going to know how to play against Manchester United. In the past, when he was Newcastle manager, we had a good record against him at Old Trafford, and it felt like he tried to set them up defensively, and it never worked. But I think it's different. That's Newcastle. This is Everton. Everton have better players than Newcastle. I think they'll be better at sticking to the game plan and sticking to what Rafa Benitez wants them to do. They've had a good start this season as well. I know they lost to Villa, but we know that can happen. We know that any team can lose to Aston Villa, right, guys? So I think it's going to be the same as Wednesday. I think it's going to be a very similar game to Wednesday in that we're going to be going up against a side that's going to be disciplined. They're going to be smart. They're going to be tactical. We know they're going to have energy. They're going to make it difficult for us, no doubt. I think they're going to try and hit us on the break. They're going to have a low block. And they've got great players. They've got players that are going to be missing. And I think that will benefit us and really hurt them. One of them, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, looks to be missing. Richarlison, there's probably a late fitness test there as well. If their two players are missing, then that's two of their two arguably best players, especially from an attacking point of view. That's going to be a massive issue, isn't it, for Everton if those players miss out? So that will certainly help us. But on the flip side of things, you could look at it and say, well, whilst that might help us because two of their best players aren't playing, that's really going to make them double down on them going, right, we're missing our some strong players, we're missing some of our best players. We're going to be defensive. We're going to sit back. We're going to have a low block. We're going to play for set pieces. We're going to try and score from set pieces, whether they're free kicks, corners, whatever, or we're going to try and hit them on the break. And that's what we struggle against. We don't know how to play against that. So, like I said, they've started well. Obviously, they did get blown away by Villa. But like I said, we know that loss against Aston Villa can happen. It happened to us, didn't it? So, that can happen. It doesn't really affect that much on the game. As far as team news about Everton, like I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back in training, but is yet to join with full contact, similar to a Marcus Rashford. So it's likely, like Rashford, he's going to return after the international break. Doesn't look like he's going to be fit for the game at Old Trafford tomorrow, which again is a positive for us. Seamus Coleman, there was conversations about him, whether he would be fit to play or not. He took part in an individual session on Thursday. He hasn't featured since they beat Burnley in early September, so he might be back, but that might be too soon for him. Midfielder Jean-Philippe Gbamin. I butcher names here on the channel. It's so bad. I apologise. Was in full training. He could be involved. Richarlison hasn't been involved in recent weeks due to a knee injury. He might face a late fitness test, so we don't know. Andre Gomez has also been absent from training for them. So they got massive players missing. Make no mistake. You got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, possibly Seamus Coleman, Richarlison, and Andre Gomez. They are like four of their biggest players, especially Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, and Gomez. Top players that could get into, well, I don't know, maybe not this Manchester United side, but certainly they'd get into sides in the top 6, top 4. Good players, really good players. So the fact that they could be missing all of them obviously benefits us massively. But like I said, from just the point of view of what game plan Everton are going to go for and what style, how they're going to set up, with those players missing, you know exactly what Rafa Benitez is going to do. He's very pragmatic anyway, and he's very methodical in terms of the way he sets up and defensive football, all that kind of stuff. That was kind of the frustration, wasn't it, when he was at Newcastle, is that he played very, very defensively, but from his point of view, it's like, well, have you seen the squad that I had at my disposal? Of course I'd be defensive with the players that I had at the time. But with those players missing, with Calvert-Lewin, with Richarlison, and Andre Gomez missing, why wouldn't he be defensive? And from a Manchester United fan's point of view, again, that makes me think of, right, that's going to be similar to Wednesday. That's going to be similar to, we might dominate possession, like Ollie said, but we've got to find a way of breaking down that low block, and we've got to make sure that we don't get hit on the counter-attack and we don't overcommit. So that's going to be interesting too. As David Lee says, be sure to hit that like button, guys. We're at 135 likes. See if we can get to 150. Got over 300 people watching right now. As far as the formation, I think obviously we know what formation Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to play. It's going to be 4-2-3-1. This is what Fat Thor has to say about the 4-2-3-1. Actually, 4-2-3-1 isn't a bad formation. It's a good system. Ollie doesn't know how to use it well. Using McFred sums it up. There was a lot of talk that he actually went to... there was lots of discussion that he went to a 4-3-3 against Villarreal, and I don't know if he did. I really don't know if he did. I've seen some people saying that was the case. I know Pogba played higher. He was up there with McTominay, wasn't he, in the week? But I don't know if it was really a 4-3-3. Maybe towards the end of the game, I guess, kind of maybe turned into 4-3. I didn't really see it, but you go 4-2-3-1. There's no doubt about that. Kamazi says only Allen and Decore we really have to worry about, but not really. Look, it's a game we should be winning. Any home game against anyone. I don't care who it is in the league, if it's the best team in the league, if it's the team that's top of the league. It's Old Trafford. We're Manchester United. We should be winning our home games. Of course, it's the last game before the international break as well. So we have to continue the momentum from Wednesday. A positive night on Wednesday, even though for the majority of the game, it was tough to watch, difficult to watch, and there was a lot of frustration for the majority of that game. We ended it with euphoria. We ended it being very, very happy. We ended it being overjoyed because we won the game, and Cristiano Ronaldo, because he always does it, scored a late winner, and we're back in contention in that group once again, and there's not so much negativity around Old Trafford. So there certainly is spirit. There's no doubt. You can't argue with that. We've done it so many times of coming back from behind, coming back from being 1-0 down or whatever. But look, there is spirit in that side. There is resilience in that side. Now, you can argue, is that because we've got great players? Is that great coaching? Is it whatever? Is it team spirit? I think it's a little bit of everything, in fairness. I'm not going to say it's just completely not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There certainly is team spirit there, and there certainly is a never say die attitude that is historic with Manchester United, and it's good to see that back. There's no doubt about that. And it's crucial. And now, in terms of team selection, I do expect some rotation, you would think, again, because of the game being on Wednesday night, because of having just 48 hours, essentially, to rest players or to recover. I think there is going to be some rotation because we are talking about 48 hours worth of recovery here. So if I had to predict, and I was writing this down beforehand, it's kind of tough to predict this one. So I think De Gea starts. I would say Telles again at left back because I don't think Shaw will be ready. Lindelof and Varane because we know Maguire is out. Aaron Wan-Bissaka will come back in. Of course, he was suspended midweek and Dalot didn't have his best game. Look, I think a lot of people got a bit more appreciation for Aaron Wan-Bissaka after Diogo Dalot's performance midweek. So Wan-Bissaka will come back in. This is the interesting one. What midfield two? What midfield two do you think? Now, a lot of people will just go, oh, he's going to pick McFred. I don't know if he will. I'm going to say, because he picked McTominay and Pogba as the midfield two on Wednesday, I think he's going to go with Fred and Pogba, I really do. I think that's what he's going to go with because he can't, with the players that we've now got available that are back from injury, etc., or just in form, he can't put Pogba out on the left because if he does, he's basically saying that the likes of Cavani, Lingard, possibly Sancho, all aren't going to play. So I think it has to be the midfield two. It can't be McFred at this point because he's got to get Pogba into the side. So I think it's going to be Fred and Pogba is my prediction. Now we saw Fred and Pogba at Wolves. Didn't do great. Still won that match though. But I think it might be Fred and Pogba. I'm not sure we will see McFred tomorrow. But look, famous last words, could be wrong. In terms of the three behind the striker, because I do think it'll be 4-2-3-1. Obviously Bruno in the 10. Then you have the discussion about either side. Now I would probably say Greenwood on the right. It was his birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday, Mason Greenwood. He's not been picked for the international for England, so I think he'll start on the right. That leads the question, what do you do with the left-hand side? Do you go with Jadon Sancho? Do you go possibly with a Jesse Lingard, who, look, he's been coming off the bench, he's been scoring goals, getting assists. So Jesse Lingard's in the conversation. Or do you go with Edison Cavani, or do you switch it there and actually have Ronaldo and Cavani? This is my point here. I want to see Cristiano Ronaldo and Edison Cavani start together because when Edison Cavani came on in the week, objectively, he was fantastic. You talk about energy and desire. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talks about energy and desire of Scott McTominay and Fred. That's real energy and desire. That's real passion. He was still chasing balls that he had no business in getting. There's that clip, isn't there, where it's a pass, I think, to Ronaldo, and it's wayward, and Ronaldo stops, throws his hands up in the air and says, pass it to feet, all this kind of stuff. Cavani is all the way on the other side of the pitch. He chases it down, wins it back, gets another attack going for Manchester United. That's the kind of hunger and passion that I want. I don't give a shit about Fred and McTominay in midfield and talking about their hunger and desire. They're running around a lot. Cavani's got real passion and hunger and real desire. You saw him after the game. You saw him when Ronaldo scored. You saw him firing up in the crowd. That's what he lives for. So absolutely, I think we can have Ronaldo and Cavani starting together. Do I think it will happen? No, I don't think it will. But I think Ollie's got to find a way, find solutions. The best managers, I say this time and time again, it's almost become cliche at this point, but the best managers find solutions. You go, right, these are the players I have. What system, what formation gets them all into the side? How do I get the most of them into the side? Not what formation do I want to play, because sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes it just goes to how do I get them into the side? How do I name a starting 11 that has Ronaldo and Cavani playing together? Now, whether that's Ronaldo starting out on the left, which I'm not a fan of because we saw it in the week. when he did that. Cavani came on and Ronaldo went out left like it was 2008 all over again. And look, Ronaldo's 36. He's still Cristiano Ronaldo. He's still in phenomenal shape. But I'm not sure he's got any more days as a left winger going on. But in fairness, when he was out on the left, it was kind of a case of he was out on the left, but he still just started drifting in. He still started drifting in, and he was essentially at points, it did turn into a front two. And look, he still scored the goal. So maybe that's what he'll do. Maybe he does start Ronaldo on the left. But it's kind of a case of, look, it's the left-hand side, but Ronaldo's essentially going to be central. It's going to be a 2. And Telles, you're going to have to be really up and down because you're essentially going to be a left back and a left winger at the same time. Maybe that's the case, but I want to see Ronaldo and Cavani start together. I really do. Super chat from MWK360 says, Pogba drifting forward is a huge hindrance. You know, I think that it depends, doesn't it? Like we were saying before, we said this yesterday, or it might have been in the match reaction, I forget. We've done so many streams this week. When it comes to Pogba, the issue is that on the left, it's good for him being on the left because he just really focuses on attacking. When he's an 8 in midfield, there is an element, especially if you're not playing with the best defensive midfielder ever, like Fred, that there is going to be an element of you're going to have to do some defensive work. And Pogba doesn't really want to do that. I mean, he can do it, but he doesn't want to do it. And look at him historically in his career, when he's played with strong defensive midfielders, whether it's Kante for France, whether it's Vidal at Juventus, and he was surrounded by Marquisio and Pirlo, by the way, and he's protected and he can do what he wants. That element of discipline in terms of, right, I can go forward in certain instances, but sometimes I have to hold my run or I've got to do a bit of defensive work. That he doesn't have that. And at this stage in his career, he's not going to have that. He's not. So Fred, look, if Fred's with Pogba tomorrow, Fred will be doing a lot of running. He'll be able to show a lot of that passion and desire, all that kind of stuff. So again, I would like to see Ronaldo and Cavani start together, but I don't think it will happen. I'm going to go with Greenwood, Bruno, and it's a tough one. It is a tough one, I think. Maybe Sancho. Maybe it might be Lingard. I mean, I don't think Martial. I don't think he's anywhere near it, to be honest with you. But it's a tough one. They're good dilemmas to have for Ollie. But again, I would like to see Cavani and Ronaldo start, because I think that even at Ronaldo being 36 and Cavani being 34, they're still two of the best players we have at the club. And they're winners. That's passion and desire you want to see. But I don't think we'll see that. I don't. In terms of a prediction, I'm going to go 2-1. I've had a couple of correct results this season. I'm quite happy. But I'm not a gambling man. I'm not. You learn something new about me every day, guys. I'm not a gambling man. But look, I think it's going to be cagey. I think we'll rely on a bit of luck again. I know people don't like it when we say individual brilliance or individual moments. People get angry because they said, well, you should praise the coach. You do praise the coach if you win a match. But make no mistake, we do rely on individual brilliance, individual moments. That is what it is. But I think it will be cagey. I do think we'll rely on a bit of luck. And I don't just mean from, a Ronaldo or a Cavani or a Bruno or whatever. I think, again, that means from David De Gea. Again, missing the players that they are missing, I think, is obviously a positive for us. But again, on the flip side of things, you could say, well, they're just going to go for a point. They're going to double down. They're going to be defensive, low block. We're going to have to find some way of overcoming that. So I think we will have a bit of individual brilliance, not just from Ronaldo, Bruno, but also De Gea as well. But make no mistake, we should be winning. We should be winning the game because it's a home game at Old Trafford in the Premier League. Any home game at Old Trafford in the Premier League, we should be winning. And if we drop points again, that's just not good enough. Fundamentally, just not good enough. But before I go, we'll have a look at some predictions. What predictions do you think, guys? Let me know your predictions in the chat. We're at 160 likes. Let's see if we can get to 200. See in the last few minutes if we can get to 200 likes. If we can get 40. If I can do it like Thanos, I can just snap my fingers once again and we can get to 200 likes. Ben says 5-0 United. Spam crosses. Cristiano Ronaldo 5 goals. Easy. It would be nice, wouldn't it, after what's been going on the last few weeks? Like, there was so much positivity after that first game against Leeds because we played really well. And since then, they've just been these really nitty-gritty games that have been tough to watch. It would be nice to have like a real positive 3-0, like real good performance, especially heading into the international break, certainly. Kamazi says 2-1, because United always need a goal to wake up. Interesting. Netherone says, do you think we could win a trophy this season? If no, would you sack Ollie? Ooh, it's a big question. It's a big question for the match preview. I've said time and time again that I think Ollie will be judged this season. I think he'll be judged at the end of the season because I think he will last till the end of the season. Come the end of the season, if we don't win a trophy and we're not challenging, and by challenging I mean we're like 6 points off the title or 9 points off the title, whatever it may be, or we don't go far in the Champions League, because I think if he gets to a Champions League semi-final, then it's a layered question, because I don't think it's as cut and dry as if he doesn't win a trophy, he's done. I think there are contingencies, shall we say, in terms of if he would lose his job. Look, if we go out of the group stage of the Champions League, he'll be in a lot of trouble. If at the end of the season we went out in the first knockout round of the Champions League against a side that we should be beating, and we're like fourth, that won't be good enough, and he'll be in a lot of trouble. But it's difficult to say right now, and I know that's like sitting on the fence FC, and I know, you know, all that kind of stuff, but I feel that's being a realist. I feel that's being a realist, and that's kind of the situation. Aaron says 3-0 United. The other one says 3-1 United win. Jamagic says Old Trafford is no longer a fortress; it's just a run-down old stadium. Well, I think so. I think there's an element of truth in there, in that it's an old stadium that needs some improving. Certainly, the Glazers are mentioned about that. But in terms of a fortress, well, I remember when Fergie left, and that first season with Moyes, and you know, even with Van Gaal and Mourinho, all of those like records, it felt like a new record went every week, didn't it? Right, but this is the first time Swansea have beaten United at Old Trafford. This is the first time Newcastle have beaten Man United at Old Trafford since blah blah blah. So is it a fortress like it used to be? No, probably it's not, but to get it back, you have to win games, and you start that tomorrow, right? That's the positivity I'm going to end on. But look, guys, thank you very much for watching, as always. Be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Big game tomorrow, big day tomorrow too, match day, of course. So we're going to have the road trip from Flex coming up early in the morning, as always. Going to be a really early one for him tomorrow morning. But we're going to have the road trip coming up, as always. Then we're going to have the match view, of course, with KG. Then we'll have the match reaction with myself and DJ, possibly Jack as well. It depends if he's going to be at the game or not. And then we're going to have the fan views as well. So great weekend ahead, guys. Enjoy your Friday, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.